Okay, my name's Tim. I'll just very briefly go through the town planning process just to demystify it a little bit. Although town planning and getting a planning permit is at the core of every development, and that's the first step you have to undertake. Without that, you haven't got a development. It's quite a complex process, and in general, councils really do not want to be dealing with lay people who come in and ask a lot of questions. They'd rather be dealing with the professional town planner or town planning organisation who knows exactly what their requirements are and feed them what they're looking for. Just to go through the process, the very first thing that if you appointed or instructed Property Start to get you a planning permit, the very first thing we would do is get a survey done on the block of land or the site. With the survey results, we've then got an architect on staff who would go about designing what you're looking for to your brief. So we take a brief from you. You say, well, I want to demolish and put 3 units on this block of land, 3 bedrooms each, blah, 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 whatever it is. Once we've got the survey results on the CAD system, the architect would then get about designing what you want. When that's complete, the very first journey that we normally make is we rush off to the council and see the person that we know. Now, we work on the principle that we build relationships within planning departments of councils. It helps oil the wheels, and we know exactly how they work and they understand us. So we go off to council and say, look, this is what we're going to be proposing. What do you think? And they'll always go, change this, change that. Even if it's perfect, they always want to change something. So we'll do that, satisfy the council. Our next step is to go to the client and say, look, council are happy, what do you think? And they'll say, yep, looks fantastic, but just want to change a facade of the second unit. Fair enough, we can do that. So it's a bit of backwards and forwardsing with the council and then with the client. Once everyone's happy, the council's happy, the client's happy, we then get together all the documentation that's required and submit the application to council. At that stage, that's nowhere near complete yet, because the council have their own processes, and on average, I would say, across Melbourne, metropolitan Melbourne, the average journey for a planning permit is between 5 and 9 months. From the time the application has been put in, we can say 3 to 4 months, because what they'll do is it'll go through their processes, go through their departments and different offices, they'll talk about it, and at that stage they'll come back and they'll write us a letter saying, it's called an RFI, a request for further information, and it always arrives. Even if you know you've got it all right, you will still get that letter asking you to change something. We'll change that, resubmit the plans. Once they've got it and they're totally satisfied, we then get another letter called an NOD. That's a Notice of Decision to Issue a Planning Permit. At that stage, you then go into council, or the client goes into council, pays the advertising fee. They give you a great big sign which you've got to stick out the front of your property, and there's a 2-week waiting period, waiting to see if the neighbours jump up and down or if anything happens, and we're hoping at this stage that none of this happens. At the end of the 2 weeks period, you've got yourself a planning permit. So the whole journey, as I said before, 5 to 9 months, can be a bit more than 9, never less than 5. So you've got to allow that in your developing timeline. You can't buy a block and expect to be on the block straight away doing something. It's quite a process. So you've got to allow for that in your holding costs, or however you do your feasibility, and build that in. Once you've got a planning permit, council will then issue endorsed plans, which is the stamp. The plans come out of council, and that then allows you to go out and get working drawings, which we can organise as well. And then it's the building process after that, which Armand's talked about. So that really is the planning process. As I said before, councils prefer to deal with town planners, town planning organisations, because we understand the res code and the regulations, and we know exactly what they're looking for, and we give them what they're looking for. But through the journey, it's always you've got to be flexible. It's always a compromise. It's a bit of give and take, because you'll always have to give a bit, and council will give a bit as well. And if you're prepared to do that, then shouldn't be a problem. Anyone got any questions?
Which councils do you have a relationship with?
Sorry?
Or which council do you usually deal with in the area?
Every council in metropolitan, mainly we deal in Victoria, but we have dealt with most, I'd say 85% of councils within metropolitan Melbourne. At present, we've got the majority of cases we've got at present are running through Monash. For some odd reason, I don't know, but it fluctuates, it changes from time to time. Moonee Valley, Monash, those are the two popular ones at present.
So there's no specific council that you prefer to work with? Or that
People ask me that all the
relationship?
time, and I say, as far as I'm concerned, they're all the same. If you start on that understanding, then you can't go wrong. If you try and say, well, they're better than them, then, you know, they're all the same. As long as you've got a relationship with them and you understand them and you know somebody, that's the important thing. If you have a contact, then you can get sensible answers out of them. I can pick the phone up, speak to somebody I know, and I'm going to get the answers I'm looking for. Whereas if you go in over the counter, they'll always turn you away, because what they'll say to you, their stock answer is, put it in writing or put it in an application, and then they'll respond, which isn't really the right way around. That you want the answers before you do that. So, which is something that we can do.